Welcome to this tutorial for identifying Magellan and Honeycomb CSS elements. This video is part of a series that shows you how to update Magellan and Honeycomb's look and feel. You may have tried to use your browser's developer console or inspect function in the past and found it a bit daunting. Fortunately, developer consoles have come a long way in recent years, and so has the readability of Honeycomb and Magellan CSS. Even if you have little to no knowledge in HTML and CSS, by the end of this video, you'll be able to use your browser's developer console to identify what CSS is controlling any part of Honeycomb or Magellan, update that CSS, view and update the relevant CSS file directly. Developer consoles are tools built for web page developers. All major browsers have one. I'm using Chrome's, but Edge's and Firefox's are very similar. They do a lot of things, but most importantly for us, they expose a website's HTML and CSS and let you edit it in real time. You can visually identify the HTML generating each part of the website, see what CSS is affecting that HTML, edit that CSS, directly view and edit the files that CSS is coming from, and even export your changes. Changes can be undone with Ctrl-Z and are made purely in your browser window. Nothing is changed permanently unless you import your changes into the relevant CSS files. If you don't like what you've done, you can restart by closing and reopening your browser, or simply refreshing. This is incredibly useful, especially if you're not confident with CSS. It takes the guesswork out of identifying CSS elements, lets you experiment safely, immediately see how your CSS edits will change Honeycomb or Magellan, and as I mentioned earlier, once your changes are finalized, you can copy and paste them into Magellan or Honeycomb's theme.css file to make them permanent. Now that you know about the console, let's start using it to identify CSS elements. Open your Magellan or Honeycomb page. This can be hosted anywhere, in AuthorCloud's publishing page, on a local web server, your live website. You could even use one of the courses on our Honeycomb examples page. Since the changes are only made in your browser, it doesn't matter. Right-click the element you want to change and click Inspect. The developer console will take you to approximately the correct location in the HTML. Hover over the various elements till the console highlights the one you need, or use the Inspect button. Sometimes it may not be obvious which line of HTML you need. For example, here it's not clear what the difference between these lines is. As a rule of thumb, check the higher or container element first. If that doesn't have what you need, move to lower elements. Click the Class button to see what CSS class or classes apply to the line of HTML. Make some changes to find the class you need or to confirm you have the right class. For example, you could disable the class entirely or find it under styles and make some changes. If the correct part of the page changes, you've found the element you need. You could also click this link to the CSS file and read the element's description. If you want to identify the CSS element for something in a specific state, for example the hover color of these buttons, perform all the same steps as a normal element, then click Toggle Element State. In this example, I'd click Hover, but a number of states are available. Hover, Visited, and Active are the most important for Honeycomb and Magellan. The device emulator lets you view and edit CSS with various screen sizes and comes with preset dimensions for a number of devices. This is important for Magellan and Honeycomb, which are responsive and may apply different CSS at different screen sizes. You can change where the developer tool's docked by clicking its meatball menu and selecting the option you prefer. That includes having the developer console in a completely separate window. That's it. That's everything you need to know about identifying a CSS element in Honeycomb and Magellan. Check out our other videos for examples of how to make specific CSS changes and how to export your changes from the developer console into Honeycomb or Magellan.